So today is the second last day of the 5 days meeting. So things go quickly. So in accordance with the norms of the teaching, I should not be teaching or I should not be explaining, thinking that since there are many others who are teaching, I should also teach. If I do that, that's computation, negative computation. So I'm not doing that, I must make it clear. And you should also not be listening to the teaching, thinking that there are others who are going to listen to the teaching, so I should also go. So one should teach or listen to the teaching with a motivation to change one's mind so that our visit on this planet becomes meaningful and beneficial to many others. Because if you look carefully, there is nobody, however hostile, violent people may look, but there is nobody who doesn't want long-lasting peace and happiness. And it is only because of ignorance, stupidity, short-sightedness, people end up doing stupid things. But sometimes I have wondered, the so-called terrorist, the core terrorist who may be very violent, but I have always wondered whether they teach their small kids to also kill people. Not many will do that. I don't think they will do. Some might, but many will not do that, you see. So this shows that they also don't relish doing those negative things. And then what is the purpose of harming others or making others unhappy? Because they are already suffering. Why would you create more suffering since they are already suffering? Why would you try to kill other people? Because Shantideva says you don't have to kill people, they will die. But due to ignorance, we target other people as if they are never going to die, so we should kill them, you see. And Shantideva says you don't have to kill, they will die. So similarly, you don't have to create more suffering, they are already suffering. Okay? So, the best way how to treat other people is take yourself as an example. In one's own case, you need the best. You need other people's smile. You need other people's, encouragement. You need other people's gift. You need everything. So similarly, it's not easy. I'm not saying it is easy, but that's the right thing. Similarly, you should also try to treat others. Taking oneself example, this is how I should have been treated, so therefore I should also treat like this. So one should be the standard of measurement, how you should treat other people. Okay? And everybody is fragile, you see. You use the word impermanence, whatever, basically we are all fragile, easy to break. See? So when something is fragile, at the airport, when you check in, if you have something which is fragile, then you need to tell them, fragile, handle carefully. You need to put their label. If you have a glass or things like that, then you need to tell the people at the airport, please write something on this bag, this is very fragile. So fragile, handle carefully. So everybody is fragile, so handle carefully. Be nice, you see. So that's the core of the teaching, you see. So there's no shortage of practice. Practice is not just going, doing some chanting or doing for retreat. These are all good. These are all good. But you should not think that without this, doing the usual ritual, the usual process, the traditional way, you can't practice. It's not that. Atisha, whenever he meets somebody, he would always used to ask people, how is your mind? Have you had a good mind? Just as today we say, how are you? Atisha would always ask, have you had a good mind? So that's the thing. If you have a good mind, you can face all the problems. When your mind is turbulent, negative, suspicious, jealous, nothing can really calm you down. So there's no other solution except taking care of the mind. So therefore, we should consider this kind of meeting not as another part of library's program. Of course, it's a program, but more than that, we should see this as a great opportunity for all of us to play our part, to do something good while we are alive. If we are able to do that, we'll live peacefully, we'll die peacefully, nothing to regret. Contrarily, if you spend your whole life laboring and sweating to make more money, to get more clothes, more food, there's no end to it. There's no end to it. And at the end of the day, everything that you collect will become headache. I mean, imagine if you have like 100 pieces of shirts, another 100 pairs of shoes, They may look nice, but how much you will be able to use them, you see? It will only fill your cupboard and your small room, and you have to clean them, polish them, whatever, wash them. It's only headache. So you're wasting your time, and it also make you unhappy. And when you die, what are you going to do with it? I've already started worrying about the collections that I have. The one thing that I don't worry is the collection of books that I have. I have a lot of books in my room. My room is almost like filled with books. So that I don't regret, Even if I die, okay, book, everybody think nice, But if many other things I have, gifts from people, you see. What I'm going to do with them? You see, things like that, you see. So if you have less want, less desire, of course you need to have those things which you really need. Apart from that, if you have less desire and more contentment, your life will be simpler, easier. And you can also save more money, which you can use for many other things, It's more, convenient to use it. Okay? And the most important wealth that you have is the wealth of the mind. That's what we are studying. Compassion, love, tolerance, inner strength. If you have this, wherever you go, it will never become excess baggage, number one. The ordinary things, sometimes I make joke with my Tibetan friends. Tibetans, when they travel, they always carry one bag, and they fill the whole bag almost, so that you can hardly pull the zip. Something like that, not just Tibetan, others maybe also, But because I live with Tibetans, I've seen this, you see. Then when you carry such things, then at the airport, they'll say, Madam, excess baggage, sorry, you have to pay more, you see. That's the problem. You already see the problem. You already see the problem. But nobody will tell you at the airport, Madam, you have too much compassion, you can't go, we will charge you. Or you have too much love, we'll charge you. Nobody will say things like that. So these inner qualities, when you have these inner qualities like fortitude, strength, patience and so forth, wherever you go, you will be able to use those. Thieves cannot steal that. Robbers cannot rob that. And these days thieves are everywhere, you see. Robbers are everywhere, burglars are everywhere, you see. So you don't have to fear those things also, you see. So therefore contentment is very, very important. And of course at the end of the day you can't carry any of these things with you. Okay. So what you can carry with you is the habit, the positive habit that you have formed, that will then become your spiritual teacher, your food, your clothing, your light, everything. When you go alone, that spiritual habit which comes through meditation. Nothing else you can take with yourself. So now to do the actual meditation, preparation is very important. So that's why we were reading the 6 preparatory practices. Preparation is very important. So even when you prepare food, before actually eating the food, the preparation is more important. Preparation is very important. Many people who don't know how to prepare bread, I've seen this myself because I live alone and I make bread, So it's a meditation, it's a learning thing, you see. So sometimes you get a little bit distracted, you put more water, then it becomes very thin. Sometimes you put too less water, then it's very difficult to knead, and also the the bread, starts breaking, So there also you see you can need meditation, mindfulness. But if you put the right amount of water and everything, the bread becomes so delicious. I've seen this myself, I do it, you see. And you all have done this. So test this, that's called meditation. To be fully present what you are doing. Then you can prepare better bread, better thukpa, whatever, with presence of mind. If you do it, you will prepare it nicely, and the result is, during the actual lunch or dinner, when you eat the food, it will be delicious. You see? So preparation is important, because every positive, negative experiences, every conditioned phenomena, they arise from their causes and conditions. Nothing can happen, nothing can arise without depending on causes and conditions. So for cultivating these positive qualities, positive emotions, you need to cultivate the positive causes and conditions. If you plant a poisonous seed, poisonous trees will come. If you plant a medicinal seed, medicinal trees will come, you see. Just like the cause and condition, fruits will also be similar. This is law of nature. And you cannot go against the law of nature. You cannot just plant a poisonous seed and then pray, may this produce a medicinal plant. It will never happen. So that also shows prayer itself is, just prayer is not enough. You need to cultivate the right causes and conditions for that. So just as this is true in the case of the external environment and situation, similarly it is true in the case of the internal emotions also. There are positive emotions and negative emotions. Like the poisonous tree, poisonous seed, we also have negative emotions. Like the medicinal seed, medicinal plants, we also have the positive emotions. So each of these need the respective causes and conditions to be cultivated. Okay? So therefore, preparation is very important. So we were reading the third preparation, which is sitting on a comfortable seat, straightening your back, sitting full cross-legged or half cross-legged, and observing the right contact, and then taking refuge in cultivation of bodhicitta. Okay? This is very, very important. Taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. I briefly explained this yesterday. We take refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha because we fear the samsara. And we have the faith that the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha can help me get out of the samsara. How? Because Buddha is the one who is completely enlightened and can show you the right path. And the path that he has taught is called Dharma. And the one that will inspire you, travel with you, encourage you is the Sangha. So just as when we become sick, physically sick, get hospitalized, we need a good doctor. But that alone is not enough. We need medicine. That alone is not enough. We also need attendant, a nurse or a compounder or your relative, somebody who will take care of you because you are terribly sick. You need 3 when you are physically sick. So similarly, mentally we are sick with the negative emotions. So to cure that also you need Buddha as the doctor. His teaching as the medicine. And the Sangha like the nurse or the compounder. So we need these 3. Okay? So they have the capacity. So, to know more, you need to read more. How can the Buddha help you? How this teaching is important. You have some idea already. But you need to read more to develop that conviction. Okay? It will not come easily. It will not come easily. So take refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. In fact, whether you are Buddhist or not is dependent upon whether you have a firm conviction to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha or not. If you don't have that, even if you have studied Buddhist philosophy for many years, even if you are a monk, even if you are a nun, it's very likely that in the true sense of the term, you may not even be a Buddhist. Of course, socially and publicly, everybody thinks you are a Buddhist, and you can also say, I'm a Buddhist, But in the true sense of the term, there are old sayings where there's a story of a very senior Lama who was sitting on his throne and looking down to the aisle where the rest of the monks are sitting. And then he scolded some of the senior monks sitting right in front of the line, saying that, I see very senior monks sitting in front of the first line, but still not a Buddhist. You see, so this is whether you are Buddhist or not is not judged by what kind of costumes you wear or what you say. It is a determination of the mind, and it's not easy. It's not easy because the wish to take refuge into Buddha, Dharma and Sangha has to come with the fear to the samsara. So do we have the fear? Forget about having fear. We think samsara so far is quite nice. And that's why we fear death. Fear death means you want to live more. Live where? In the samsara. Korwal degi, shig means siddhu korwal degi labgoro. Siddhu korwal jikta chida khandes yungre. Yungi mandua. You see? So all these changes will take place if you really read and reflect and, your vulnerable situation, your fragile situation, then you'll be able to develop some sense why you should have fear to the samsara. If it is not there. While I am teaching, if suddenly my head is caught by fire, I will not sit here saying, okay, let me finish the teaching, then I will douse my fire. I will never say that. The first thing I will do is just forget about this teaching, I will use my shawl or hand, whatever, and douse the fire, you see. Because I saw the fear. I have the fear. And the good thing with that is, then you will never postpone your practice. You will never say, oh wait, after 1 hour I will extinguish my fire or things like that. You see? You will immediately do it because you have the fear. If there's an earthquake, immediately people will run hither and thither, maybe in the wrong direction, but at least they are thinking how to protect themselves, you see. So that's there. But normally, unfortunately, we don't have that. So there should be this inner machine, motor. If you want to do good practice, or if you want to make good progress in your even ordinary study and education, if you don't have this willpower, the wish to do something, you see, and if you lead a life of like lukewarm, Chutujam says, do a sawo, member tango, member levi, deadage. Tujam lukewarm say inji. What in this dead then? Those do the Hida Yimadua, Redua, Cotes, Margo, some lunal. This is Himatone, Naringotas and Markian Digmaro. This is Himatone, Nargo. With information, with knowledge, you develop this kind of willpower that I will do. Then you will do willingly, easily, and the success will be much easier, and you will do it effortlessly like an elephant that jumps into the water when scorched by heat. Immediately he'll jump into the water. So that will come by repeatedly listening to teachings, reading books, and then also thinking about the reality. Asking few pertinent questions. Okay, I'm alive, I'm a human being. What am I going to do? What is my role? What is my destination? What is the best way of making this human life meaningful? Ask these questions to yourself. What is the best way of helping others? Make yourself and others happy for a long, long time to come. Ask these questions. Without reading books, you ask these questions. Naturally, the answer will be always related to your mind. And I've asked these questions to many people in many places. And normally at the end of the day, everybody says it has to come from the mind. And that is the truth. That's the truth. So you need to occasionally ask questions. If you ask questions, you'll get answer. From the answers, you'll be able to develop conviction. Convictions will make you move forward to the right direction. Okay. So taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. So since we all claim to be Buddhists, it's important to read more about who is Buddha, what is Dharma, what is Sangha. There's a detailed explanation in this Lamrim Chenmo or Lamrim thing also. English translation is also available. Now, if we are able to make the effort, there is no shortage of scriptures. And luckily, you see. So much better facility. Even when I started studying in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, in those earlier days, we didn't have enough scripture to study. When I was studying, we started studying Parchin. We didn't have the text. So somehow somebody got some text from Ladakh Institute somewhere. Then you need to read a few pages and then lend it to the other fellow. He will read it and then he will give it back to you. You know, things like that. Nowadays, so many books are there. Books are flooding. But people are, it's just like grass thrown in front of a dog. You see? People don't read. It's very unfortunate, really. I attended some of His Holiness teachings several times. And then the donors, they publish in print all these precious books. And then they distributed people, At the end of the teaching, you see all the books just thrown there. Heart-rending, you see. Such precious texts, people have no idea. That's the thing. So we need to do a little bit of a small revolution. Taking refuge. So it is by taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, you distinguish yourself from the non-Buddhists. Okay? In other words, you distinguish yourself from the wrong path. By taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, you are following the right path. Now this is not just me saying you should check. I'm not trying to be, sarcastic to any other religious tradition. I don't have that capacity and power. But you should check the authenticity, the usefulness, relevance of this Buddhist teaching. Because the whole Buddha's teaching was based on law of nature. His teaching on emptiness. In one of the sutras it says, whether the Buddhas come or not, the ultimate nature of phenomena is emptiness. Because emptiness is not something invented by Buddha. It's the way things are. It's law of nature. But he had to teach it to people because people were turning a blind eye to the law of nature. Law of nature is there. Impermanence is there. Suffering is there. Emptiness is there. Interdependent origination is there. But we are not looking at it. We are looking towards the opposite direction. Unfortunately, very interesting. Again, because of influence of negative emotions. We tend to see what is impermanent as permanent. I am going to live forever. I have to build this house and live forever, So all this shows you are planning to live. But those who understand the Dharma, they don't plan like that. And I had the great fortune of meeting with 5, 6, 7 senior monks, meditators, when I was a student in Dalhousie school. The real great meditators I've ever seen in my life. Meditators of the very famous Tihor Kyodmo Rinpoche, who was called as the modern Milarepa. A very erudite scholar, and at the time when he was to get his Geshe Laramba degree, he ran away. He was able to escape to India, and then he stayed in Dalhousie, the seat from where he gave the teaching that used to be there when I was there. Now these days, unfortunately, there's no sign. Everything has been destroyed. That used to be there. So I had the fortune of visiting and meeting his close students, 6, 7 of them. There was one nun and I think 5, 6 monks. One Gain Gilik was his brother. So I went with my teacher in the school, and they were Western women who wanted to, help these meditators, because my spiritual teacher requested her that these are genuine great meditators. So if you could help, it will be nice. So in those days, she decided to give 100 rupees for a month or something like that. except one. Everybody refused that money, saying that what I have to do with this paper. You can't believe. I can't believe my eyes. The so-called place where they are living is a pile of stones covered with a little bit canvas. Nothing whatsoever in their room, except old kind of garment to cover themselves. I've seen with my eye, you see. So it is impossible for all of us to do that. I'm not saying that we should do that. But at least if we minimize a little bit of our desire, it will make our life much easier. Otherwise, you need everything that comes in the world, And we keep on updating, update my phone, update my mobile, update things like that. Updating all the external paraphernalia, but never updating oneself. That's the job, you see. So the Buddhist teaching says, please, you update yourself first. So Raja update chigayo marwa. Chilo sang update it. I'm not saying I'm very great in updating spiritual prayer, but I've seen this clearly. So I thought if I share it, many of you might be able to get some, practice from that. Update oneself. Buddhist teaching is talking about updating yourself. Updating yourself means not updating with getting the modern information. We call this age of information. Very proudly we call this age of information. But much of the information we get is junk information. Junk mail, Junk mail, Yeah, spam. So that means much of the information is junk, you don't need. And then if you look at the people, they spend awful chunk of time screening through this junk mail. What a wastage, you see. And the Buddha is nobody else. Buddha himself said, don't make your mind a dustbin. You see? If you put all this junk, you are making your mind a garbage bin. You see? So information itself is not important. To get all kind of information is not important. Much of the information is junk information. But you need true knowledge, true wisdom, a knowledge that colors your emotion, that makes you get up and do things for others. That kind of knowledge, that kind of inspiration is needed. So that kind of information and inspiration comes from this kind of texts. So therefore, the next thing that you should visualize, having sat comfortably on the meditation seat, is cultivating bodhicitta. It is by cultivation of bodhicitta that you distinguish yourself from inferior paths. Inferior path means there are several paths, doctrines which always talk about taking care of yourself, taking care of yourself, taking care of yourself. Hardly talks about taking care of other human beings. Forget about taking care of all sentient beings. But in Buddhism, particularly in the Mahayana school, it talks about cultivation of bodhicitta, which is mind, which thinks, how nice if all sentient beings are without suffering. How nice if I'm able to achieve enlightenment. How nice if I'm able to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, not just human beings. It's a great teaching. In today's modernized world, we very proudly talk about globalization. As if this is a big thing, globalization. Everybody is talking globalization. Globalization is talking only about human beings, not about all sentient beings. Number one. Number two, globalization is talking primarily about doing business, not about sharing love and compassion and things like that, you see. So here there is a teaching which says, you should achieve the highest state of enlightenment, where you have the highest form of compassion, highest form of love, where you have the omniscience that enables you guide everybody to do the right thing. Unthinkable. There cannot be a mind better than this. So therefore the great practitioners like the late Kundu Tenzin Kundu Tenzin Gyaltsen, he says, if you are sitting, meditate on bodhicitta. If you are going, meditate on bodhicitta. If you are eating, meditate on bodhicitta. If you are happy, meditate on bodhicitta. If you are unhappy, meditate on bodhicitta. He has written a book, just like Shanti Deva's Bodhicharavatara, just about the greatness of bodhicitta. He has written a book. And interestingly, this has already been translated into English. So that's the thing, you see. A panacea which cures all kinds of diseases. Because all the illnesses, diseases come from self-cherishing attitude. Me all the time. I, me, mine. I, me, mine. And now it is scientifically proved that those who make this lot of self-references, I, me and mine, they are prone to all kinds of diseases and illnesses, including heart attack. This is scientific finding. And it's very clearly explained in many Buddhist texts. For example, if you read the Madhyamika Avtara, right in the beginning, there is a stanza which says, Tangbo ngashe dala shenjurchi. Dagin dishe ngola chajeba. Sojun chenda rama meba enrollinging jishrukan. That means first you develop this clinging, I. Then you develop this grasping, me or mine. And it's because of this grasping to me and mine that you get entrapped in this cycle of existence, just like rings or bucket in a well. Beautiful explanation there. You see? Beautiful explanation. It's because of this self-grasping, even when there is a lightning and thunder, the first thing that comes in your mind is, the thunder will fall on my head. You will never think about what kind of destruction it will do to others. Ngengol pogre, some thoji javne. Pejaji na tidwa, zizi ji joy na ngam jodu gre, some ngai korang shena lang dech. Simply, even if there's a rat running around, you will think my ear will be chopped off. It's this excessive grasping to I. So you can clearly see how this leads to all kinds of physical and mental illnesses. So two things you need to remember, which is really the crux of all the teachings, all the sutras, all the tantras, is we have two very powerful enemies to fight with. That is self-cherishing attitude and self-grasping. That's our target. These are sworn enemies. Now self-cherishing means, it is not saying that you should not look after yourself. Of course you should love yourself, have compassion to yourself. Here self-cherishing attitude means thinking just about yourself and completely ignoring the well-being of others. That's our enemy, self-cherishing attitude. Self-grasping means ignorance, seeing things as having inherent independent existence. So these are our sworn enemy. So in all the sutras and tantras and commentaries, the two most important teaching of all these texts is two. The conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. Conventional bodhicitta means bodhicitta, I have already explained. Okay? Ultimate bodhicitta means wisdom, understanding, emptiness. So it is this wisdom, understanding, emptiness, which means the wisdom that sees the interconnected reality of everything, that acts as a counter force against the ignorance, the self-grasping, the enemy number one. Then cultivation of bodhicitta, which thinks about obtain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So that acts as a counter force against the self-cherishing attitude. So all your practices will boil down onto these two things. So whether you are reciting mantra, or going around the temple, or reading a scripture, you should pray, you should think, may my self-cherishing attitude becomes weak. May my self-grasping attitude becomes weak. Everything comes down on that. So for that you need to highly value bodhicitta, wisdom, understanding, emptiness. And for developing bodhicitta, wisdom, understanding, emptiness, then it is related to other qualities like loving kindness, compassion, and practice of 6 perfections, things like that. But this is the crux of the matter. So when you try to practice, you should sometimes have an elaborate, thorough understanding, but you should also know how to summarize so that you have something to carry with you. Otherwise you read, and then Ramayana law, the Ramsui Hamagora said. There's a story of somebody who read whole Ramayana. Then after having read that whole Ramayana, somebody asked, who is Ram? No idea. It should not happen like that. Summarize Shegudwa. Okay? So, bodhicitta. So, with this process of taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha and cultivation of bodhicitta, you do it until you are able to develop some feeling. You are already on your meditation seat and you are doing the third preparation. And here you are visualizing taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha and cultivation of bodhicitta. So you should do it until you are able to develop some feeling. It's not enough to say, I take refuge to Buddha, I take refuge to Dharma, I take refuge to Sangha. May I be able to cultivate bodhicitta in my mind, and then finish. No feeling, nothing. Just recite the formula. That will not help. You should think carefully, who is Buddha, who is Dharma, who is Sangha. Develop some genuine feeling. Then bodhicitta, the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. When you say, may I become Buddha to benefit all sentient beings, who is Buddha? A compassionate one, enlightened one, omniscient one, who sacrificed his whole life, many lives in the past, to benefit other sentient beings. So remember his kindness and think about repaying his kindness. And the best way of repaying his kindness is looking after sentient beings, which for the Buddha is like his children. And then when you look at the sentient beings, then as I said, when you look at the sentient beings, the 7th Dalai Lama says, Thome Chazun Pomo Sundala Dejans Chaluk Namjur Podop Chechung Samados Dugi Misichewa Nyam Nyam Tun Dugbes Kenyam Trochin Namji Nangsun di Kyoas. The 7th Dalai Lama is a beautiful writer. So it's a Thome Chazun Pomo Sundala Dejans, which means you look at those people who are high, you look at those people who are low, Thome Chazun, you look at those people who are lay people. Look at those people who are ordained sanghas. Kyachun, Pomo, you look at the men, look at women, Pomo. Sundalateja. To whomever you look, the high, the low, the monks, the lay people, the men and women, the only difference that you see is Chaluk Namjur Podop Chechung Samato. The only difference you see is the costumes. Chaluk. Mandamanda Kungrova, Namjur des Mandamanda Yorwa. The manner, some are very howdy, some are very humble. Chalu Namjur, Potop Chechung Samato, and Gashi Toroso, go Namlachana Dogashirwa. Chalu Namjur, Potop Chechung Samato. Apart from these superficial differences, Dugi Misikewa Nyam Nyam to Dobe. Apart from those superficial differences, Dugi Mis in terms of suffering, they're all swimming in the same boat. Everybody has suffering. The higher ones have suffering. The lower ones have suffering, not being able to get proper accommodation, proper food, shortage of money, things like that. And the higher ones worry about their name, worry about their money. There's nobody who doesn't have problem. Alas, he says, alas, the similar fortune of my fellow friends. Beautiful point. So this is absolutely true, Right now somebody may be a king, a president, prime minister, surrounded by people, it comes in the newspaper, comes in the television, so what? Next time he may be in the jail. We read this all the time in the newspaper, you see. So there's the fate of all of us. So when you see that, then whoever that person is, big name, a lot of money, or a pauper, whoever you see it, you develop that feeling of concern and compassion. So that's the greatness of developing such a mind called bodhicitta, where you are able to see all this. Then the fourth preparation is visualizing the merit field. This is a little bit complex and a little bit related to Tantra also, which means you visualize the Buddha surrounded by, the different masters of different lineages. That is called merit field, because just as if you want to cultivate something, plant something, you need to prepare the land and things like that. So you need to also, in order to collect merit, you should also have to visualize those great beings, who is an inspiration, who is embodiment of qualities. Okay? Teacher. Then the fifth preparation is collecting merit and purifying negative deeds. Because even if you read a lot of books, scriptures, but if you don't have enough store of merit, you will not be successful. If you do not purify your negative deeds, you will not be successful. So therefore it's important, on the one hand, to increase the store of your merit, and on the other hand, reduce the store of negative deeds. Okay? So this can be done in many ways, but here it gives the example of doing this through the 7-limb practice, which you all know. Out of which the first is Chak Seva. Chak Seva. Chak Seva dan Chuji Shava dan Jesu Yaran Kuiji Sobai, Gewa Chungzi Dagi Chisava, Tamji Dagi Chanju Chirngo Seti, Tatambu the Chak Seva. Chak Selva. This Tibetan word Chak Selva. Chak means Changma Chak. Sweep the dust, Chak. So just as with the broom we sweep the dust, similarly, you should sweep the dust of afflicted emotions from yourself, from within yourself. That's called Chak. Now, even if you remove all the negative emotions and other defilements from within yourself, if you don't have the positive qualities, then that will not do the job. So Chak, on the one hand, you clean and sweep the dust of negative emotions. At the same time, also you get, salva means to get. Shuva, nangwa, salva. Take the positive qualities by taking the examples of the great beings. So in other words, you are saying when you do the prostration, physical prostration, verbal prostration, mental prostration, you should say, I am going to clean and sweep all the negative dust of negative emotions. Please help me get all the positive qualities. Chak, salva. Okay? One of the main purpose of doing that prostration or paying homage is to reduce your arrogance. Because when you bow down, you become humble. You practice humility. When you become humble, you become receptive to all kind of higher knowledges. If you're not humble, if you're arrogant, you'll not be able to receive higher knowledges. If you are arrogant and proud like a puffed up balloon, just as on a puffed up balloon you can't put water, it will not stay, the water will not stay. Similarly, if you there are many people who are like that. They may have very little knowledge. That's why we say little knowledge is dangerous. Even if you have little knowledge, then they get puffed up, you see. When they get puffed up, they never think about receiving inspiration, encouragement, and advices from other people. So the purpose of doing prostration, paying homage, is to become humble. And the great Kadamba teachers, they say you should yourself look at the nature, whether the beautiful flowers, plants, green grasses, whether they grow more down in the valley or up on the exposed top of a mountain. Look at the nature. If you look at the nature, you will find these beautiful green grasses and flowers. They grow more down in the valley than on the exposed top of a mountain. So if you become arrogant and act like the exposed top of a mountain, knowledge will not grow. But if you become humble like the valley down, you always become receptive. Good words can be learned even from the mouth of a child. If you have that sensitivity, if you have that, capacity to receive things, if you, as I said, the one meaning of meditation is awareness. If you have that receptivity, if you have that awareness, the whole nature is an open book. You can learn so many things from everybody. And the nature itself is open book. And in fact, great teachers like Buddha, they learned primarily from the nature. Buddha was born underneath a tree, meditated underneath a tree, died underneath a tree. You see? So we need to be aware, receptive, and learn from everything. Okay? So that is the purpose of Chakselwa. So as I said yesterday, every day now from after attending this teaching, if you're already doing wonderful, if you're not doing, then if you make a promise that at least I will do 3 prostrations in the day or 3 prostrations in the evening, that's called progress. Otherwise you attend the teaching, then continue the same habit. Depend on Marwa. Chakselwa. Even in ordinary day-to-day life, when you smile and say hello, bow down, it looks nice, you see. But when you see somebody look like this, your eye is not functioning or whatever, it doesn't look nice, you see. So there's the thing. Chakselwa. So, paying homage can be done physically, 3 prostrations. Prostrations. I don't want to spend a lot of time here. Then verbally, praising the qualities of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, that is called verbal prostration. Then most important thing is mentally. Even if you are physically prostrating, verbally reciting something, but mentally thinking about dollar, then he's already said, you may be first reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, then gradually it will become Om Mani, 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 Mani. That's what he's already said one time. It is true, you see. So that's here again you can clearly see it is the mind which is so important. Because when the mind is into the Dharma, you physically do well, verbally do well. But if your mind is something else, physically you may be doing, verbally you may be reciting, but it's doubtful whether those will become a practice or not. Okay? Then making offerings. So many type of offerings. Offering flowers, foods, water, and so many things you can offer. Don't think that you have to be a rich man to make all these offerings. In Tibet, Atisha, when he visited Tibet, he said, you Tibetans are so lucky. The water in Tibet is so pure. And if you offer water, the added advantage is if you offer water, you will not be like miserly about it, you see. You offer water and then there's offering, you will not think about it. But if you offer milk, first of course you are inspired, you offer milk, and then at the time of tea making, if you don't have milk, then you should start thinking, I should take it back, you see. That's the thing, you see. Of course, if you don't have that kind of feeling, then of course offer the best milk, whatever, So it's your motivation, not what you really offer. It's your motivation. Then everywhere you go, you see beautiful mountains, beautiful gardens, beautiful. Just sit there, make a mandal offering. I offer it to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So if your mind is prepared, there's no shortage of offerings. So offering single flowers, flower garlands, offering musical instruments, offering sands, offering canopies, offering butter lamp, offering incense, offering clothes, offering scented powder, so many things, countless offerings you can make. Making offering and giving gifts to other people, this will train you to reduce your grasping and attachment. And I'm sure you are familiar with this story of one master who was very miserly. So he realized his shortcoming. He wanted to improve, but still he was not prepared to give anything to other people. So he took something in his right hand and gave it to the left hand, his own left hand. And then took something in the left hand, give it to the right hand. And then slowly he was able to give it to others. So practice makes man perfect, that's the meaning, So you need to practice a little bit. And in many of these teachings, they say that I will not talk much about the benefits of giving, but I'll talk about the disadvantages of holding. You see. That's why I spoke about the need to have contentment. Okay? Then the third limb is confessing the negative deeds. Negative deeds that we must have done, so many negative deeds that we must have done in many past lives. Many negative deeds that we might have done in this life, intentionally, unintentionally. So try to recall all of them. Then just like as if you have swallowed poison, think about purifying them. If you're really concerned about purifying negative deeds, then the most important thing is to regret what you've done is wrong. So that will give you a chance to improve. If you think it's okay, no problem, I have not seen the cause-effect result. If you do like that, if you don't regret, you will never improve. Okay. Just like if you have taken poison, if you swallowed poison, and you know that you have swallowed poison, then you can't sit still like this. You develop so much fear that you will immediately go to hospital if you know that you've taken poison. So similarly, doing this negative emotions is like taking poison. So the sooner you purify them, the better it is. The good thing, one good quality with these negative deeds is, if you try to purify them, they can be purified. That's the quality of these negative deeds. You end up committing negative deeds out of attachment, desire. Desire we have. We have a lot of desire, attachment. So this will naturally lead to many wrongdoings. We have a lot of anger, we have a lot of hatred. This will naturally lead to wrongdoings. So recall them and regret and try to purify them. When you regret, do not think, I am a bad man, I did all these bad things. That's not encouraged in Buddhism. Because you have done something bad, you should not say you are bad. You also equally did good things also. What is important is, these things that I have done is wrong, so I must purify it. So the guilt conscience is not so much taught in Buddhism. That you have done these bad things, now you are doomed to hell, Not that kind of thing. It can be purified. This is important because some people with different culture, when they talk about having committed negative deeds, they start thinking about it. Then they develop so much fear, They develop guilty conscience, That immobilizes them. That's not good. Fourth practice is rejoicing. Rejoicing means when you recall having done something good, rejoice, celebrate. I did something good. Wow, celebrate. Have a picnic. When you see some other people doing good, rejoice. It's wonderful, this man, he is doing meditation, very good. he's doing prayer, very good, he's helping others, very good. Don't discourage them. It's very, very negative if you discourage other people doing good. Not to prepare na some yorwa. The way gom de jaguna. Tan joku tawachi imbe, say over the day. Sarcastic in there. Tachida Majimado, San Joku Jesarida, sing it over the San Joku Jena Yakurwa. Didn't love Jumado. Didn't love Jumado. Susumatun Maturua. Pachol de love decoyer, said the huge. What I'm saying is, like sometimes, when you see somebody meditating, you make a, joke or make a sarcastic remark saying that, are you very soon going to become a monk or a nun? Oh, don't practice so much, otherwise you will quickly get enlightened, So when you say things like that, then people might get discouraged, you see. So never, ever discourage other people doing good things, even if you are unable to do good things. Rejoice. I'm not able to do, he's doing wonderful, amazing. It's very important. And ordinarily, because of this very strong influence of negative emotions, human beings have a very funny habit. Very funny habit. If I praise somebody, oh, I heard this person is very good, he did these things, I tell this to somebody, he will not immediately join me in praising that person. Instead, he would say, oh, that may be true, but today injury te senia yang kyung shalam sa samul tang do tandang ge yunde chani higiyor ma do kyung cha higiyor marba yunde chani hidu de re tagara re da yunde yakbu yasar te lab sha jan ndi gro tayang ko kang ko thuye sam dang lam sa today injury de call dung hemba yorda sikaje odine lave de yakbu insamare te yakbu insamare the kyung chi ga megen miswe yo marwa. There's nobody who doesn't have any fault. Everybody has a fault. So if I am praising somebody's quality, join and say it's good. Should not say bad. Yes, he has this good qualities, but I have other story to tell you, That's not good. Because the Buddhist teaching says, these sentient beings, they are not Buddha. They are ordinary sentient beings with a lot of afflictive emotions. Even with this amount of afflictive emotions, when they are able to do something good, it's very worthwhile to encourage them, rejoice. Just like your small kid, When your small kid does something small, the parents get so happy. Nge pugu this. Pugu khatak do hibu jit lab gudwa. Theng tang pugu khatak. Ko khatak sonsen. Munje kokpa do samlo chik dan. Rwa ina da ko khatak to be yonde da chungjon jara do phama gane. Kata tare de henda mangbu hing mudo lagu marwa. Lagu marwa. The parents, when they see their small kid speak up, the first word, the parents get so, especially the mother, gets so encouraged. Oh, my child started speaking a word, you see. The mother will never say, when the mother says this, the father will never say, yeah, he spoke one word, but he was not able to speak the whole sentence, So similarly, because this child, with limited capacities to be able to speak one word is a great thing. So encourage that. So similarly, these sentient beings with a lot of negative emotions, if they're able to do something good, encourage them. You see, it's very important, especially in the society. There are not many people who encourage each other. There are many who discourage each other. This is not good. Encourage, talk about good things, think about good things. Then good things will come. You see? If you keep on talking about bad things, dragging each other's feet, how can you make progress and development? If you want to say bad things, the Buddhist teachings say, if you want to say bad things against the afflictive emotions, not the person. That person itself is a victim of negative emotions. And we are a bunch of very clever people. If I do something wrong, then I make a distinction between me and my negative emotion. I would say, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that, but it happened. Meaning that you as a person, a good person, but somehow you slipped and made this, mistake. You still want to maintain that image of being a good person. You make that distinction. But when the same thing is done by the other people, you don't make the distinction. This person is horrible. Khoda yamar dukcha midi. Tende lab gudwa. Khoda khu nyomol yevar ching mudwa. So that's why we never allow people to grow. When somebody commits a mistake, then you just blacklist him. You see? But as the teaching says, if you make a distinction between the wrongdoer and the wrongdoing, and if you say, I know you're a good person, and everybody does something wrong, so what you did is wrong, but you're a good person, then that person will change. These are great teachings. If you read Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara, all these teachings, great teachings are there. So, rejoicing is a beautiful practice. Even if you are unable to do any practice, just lie down, look at others doing good things and rejoice, You accumulate equal merit. So when it comes to doing spiritual practice, you need to be skillful, you need to know the tactics. You see? After all these spiritual practices, the practices that has to be done by the mind, if the mind has that skillful means, that tactic, you can always easily do those practices. Then the fifth limb is requesting the great teachers of Buddhas to teach, to turn the wheel of Dharma, which means to teach. Especially good teachers. Good teachers, they don't go around advertising. Believe me, they will not go around like me advertising, you see. They'll be somewhere sitting, meditating, you see. Those not so good, they'll say, come attend my talk, enlightenment in 1 week. Unfortunately. So for the good teachers, you have to make the request to teach. And according to the text also, sometimes they say you should not teach if you are not requested. So requesting teacher is requesting the teacher to give the teaching. It's very important, especially with experienced great teachers. Otherwise, they will have a lot of things for them to do, you see. Okay? Then they're requesting them not to pass away, not to die. Just like the long life offering that we make to His Holiness and other great teachers, this is important. This is not just a ceremony, this is not a show. Those people who have no idea, they will say, oh, what a joke, Some people request, you live for a long life, and then the Lama pretends he will live for a long life. They think this is a joke, because they have no idea. But I'll tell you how it works. Requesting a Lama to live a long life shows that the students have a clear spiritual bond with the teacher. They like him. He is in need. So the Lama also then starts realizing, yes, my staying here is meaningful. Many people are in need. They get my benefit from my teaching. So I must live. He feels happy. And feeling happy and this realization of the spiritual bond makes him, develop the determination to take care of his health and live longer, you see. This is how it, not only the effect of the ritual and prayer and so many things, but even from common sense point of view, this is how it helps that person live longer. And once I was giving some teaching in Switzerland, people asked me this question, so I give the answer by saying, I give an example. For example, take the example of a family. If the family members are in great harmony, let us say the husband goes to office to work, the wife goes to a hospital to work, and things like that. So the job is, let us say, 9 to 5. So as soon as they finish the job at 5, the husband will happily come home, the wife will happily come home, because there's a real home. There's real love. So they will happily come home, and once they're all together in the home, they'll share nice things, eat nice food. That contributes to their long life. Contrarily, if it's a family where there's not much harmony, then even when the work finishes at 5, the husband will linger somewhere. Maybe going around Meglorgaj, going to the bar, whatever, And he can always come up with a story, And the wife will be waiting there angry, or husband will be waiting angry. So first thing that they'll do when they meet is saying nasty things to each other. And each can fool each other by telling new story, Oh, I caught up with this, I met this, there, you can come up with 100,000 stories, you see. So this kind of continuous disharmony shortens the life. This is how it works, you see. So it's also important to make this prayer for the great teachers to live long. Okay? Because the purpose of these great teachers is to live and benefit others. And when they see that there's not much benefit for me, they don't feel like staying, you see. And for the really, really great teachers, it's not only this human world. There are many places where they are needed. A lot of invitations are there, you see. So that's the thing. And the seventh, last one, then I'll stop. Seventh one is dedication. Dedication. It's like putting your money in the bank, especially in the Indian bank. If you put some money in the Indian bank, there is quite good interest, 7, 8, 9%. If you put in a bank in America or some other countries, there's not much interest, you see. So it's like putting in at least if you put the money in the bank, it will not be, the capital will be intact, you see. And there's a likelihood of getting some interest, you see. If you put it under your mattress, it might be stolen and things like that. So dedication. So whatever prayers, meditations, studies, good things that you do, immediately after having done that, dedicate it by saying, may this become our cause to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So then the good things, good practices that you have done is saved, in the bank. If you do not do this, then you might do something very nice right now, but in the next moment you get angry, and then all the things that you have done may be destroyed. So dedication is very important. Okay. So tomorrow I will complete by explaining a little bit about the meditation, the final conclusion. Okay? Any burning questions? No burning questions? Okay, thank you. Good night.